In Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Tuscaloosa's cost of living sits very close to the national average on a broad index that measures everyday expenses. But when you break it down by category, there are meaningful differences that affect household budgets. Overall, Tuscaloosa's cost of living index is about the same as the US average, meaning basic expenditures such as housing, food, transportation, utilities, and healthcare cost roughly what you'd expect in a typical American city. Housing is lower than average, groceries and healthcare tend to be modestly cheaper, while utilities are generally a bit higher than the national benchmark. Housing remains the largest component of living costs, and the area delivers noticeable affordability relative to many parts of the country. Average monthly rents in Tuscaloosa are under $1,000 per month overall, with studio apartments often around 843, one bedrooms near 983, and two-bedroom units commonly around 158. Three-bedroom units tend to cost more, often around 1,287 or higher depending on condition and location. These rent levels are about 40% lower than the national average rent, making Tuscaloosa a notably affordable city for renters. For people purchasing homes, median home prices in Tuscaloosa are below the US norm. Typical home values in the city are in the mid to upper $200,000, with some recent indicators showing figures nearing $390,000 depending on measurement and market conditions. Even at those higher reported values, housing in Tuscaloosa remains significantly less expensive than many large cities, where median prices exceed $400,000. The relatively lower cost of housing contributes to overall savings on monthly shelter costs, whether you rent or buy. When it comes to everyday living expenses, groceries in Tuscaloosa are generally priced slightly below or near national averages. Items like milk, bread, eggs, and fresh produce cost roughly similar amounts to what you'd pay elsewhere, with some staples even a bit cheaper. Transportation costs, including fuel and vehicle services, tend to be a bit lower than national norms, reflecting shorter average commute distances and lower local gasoline prices. Utilities in Tuscaloosa, including energy and related household services, are typically higher than the national average. Monthly energy bills often fall in the low to mid 200s, and combined telephone and internet service expenses also contribute to utility totals that exceed average US figures. That said, even with slightly elevated utility costs, total monthly living expenses remain balanced by lower housing and transportation costs. Healthcare costs in Tuscaloosa tend to be more affordable than in many cities. Routine medical services such as doctor visits, dental checkups, and optometry care are priced below the US average, which can help families and retirees reduce one of the more variable categories of household spending. From a tax perspective, Alabama's state income tax structure consists of three brackets with rates of 2%, 4%, and 5% depending on income level, and residents are allowed to deduct federal income tax from their state tax liability. The base state sales tax rate is 4%, and local jurisdictions add to that, so combined sales taxes in Tuscaloosa often reach around 8% to 10% on most purchases. Alabama also historically taxed groceries at the full combined rate, although recent legislative changes are reducing the effective grocery tax. Property taxes in Alabama are among the lowest in the country, with effective rates generally well under 1% of assessed home value. Taken together, this cost of living picture shows that Tuscaloosa offers a balanced expense profile where housing, transportation, groceries, and healthcare are typically more affordable than the national average, while utilities and taxes are predictable and relatively moderate. For many people relocating from higher cost regions, these factors often translate into greater monthly disposable income and a more manageable overall budget.